Hey everybody, another video here for you today. And if you need to get an update on my shroud video, watch the video I uploaded a little earlier today. But I wanted to talk about ancient Denmark. I have talked about Poland, Germany, a lot of places around Europe in the past 6 months. Why don't we go down to Denmark today? I've talked about Denmark before, just briefly, long time ago. This is Trelleborg right down here. Here's the pretty famous Viking fort at Trelleborg. And these Danish pronunciations, well, they're pretty tough. Danish is one of the hardest languages I've ever tried to learn. Denmark is pretty special to me these days for certain reasons. Right at the top of the list of places I want to visit. But the time period I want to talk about is a lot further back in history than the Vikings. It comes from the Neolithic period. Let's just go to an article here. Now, I will leave the link for this article below. It had a lot of good information, a lot of good pics. I'm going to share some. Here is the temperature graph over the last, looks like going back about 15,000 years to 13,000 BC. And here you notice these cultures are separated at the exact end of the Younger Dryas period, 9700 BC. So are these cultures being ended by something cataclysmic and then another culture starting? Well, that is certainly something to think about. Denmark has a lot of different ruins. Here is a dolmen. This was painted in 1839. But all sorts of ruins going back into the Neolithic period here. Now, it really struck me when I started looking into this, and especially this one article, is how much this is similar to ancient America. I believe this is Jutland here. These ancient burial mounds, this culture goes back maybe 4,800 years. Who is responsible for these right here? Here's some artifacts that go back about 5,800 years. Amber beads, copper, jewelry from a bog find. And this comes from the funnel beaker culture, and that goes back almost 6,000 years here. Here are some artifacts that go back to this time period. A lot of these look like things found in ancient America. Some boat stones, a ball, stone ball of some sort right there. Here are some axes found. Pretty well made here, going back 4, 5, 6,000 years, not really positive. Farming in Denmark goes back well into history, 5, 6, 7,000 years at least, but here is a grinding stool found that they used to grind grain in. Here's what they call the Scarp sawing vessel from the Himmerland in the National Museum. These two artifacts come from the funnel beaker culture going back almost 5,000 years. Here's a colored look at one of those artifacts. Here's another one of these vessels that come from this time period going back 4 or 5,000 years. They were really amazed how thin the walls of these vessels were. They think they put beeswax inside of these. Here's what they call advanced ceramics from this funnel beaker culture. You notice the zigzag designs. Those are common on artifacts throughout the world. Now this just got more and more interesting for me. They talk about sailing and fishing in the Neolithic. Here is a 5,300-year-old fishing fence found at Oliest near Helskov when they were doing archaeological work near a waterway. Here they are doing archaeological work near Haderslev, and they found ancient fish traps that went back maybe 5,000 years. Here's an old pic where people found an old boat down in the muck here. This dugout, as they call it, goes back almost 5,000 years. Now, I found this interesting because I reported on this in more than a few ancient America sites. Trepanations are known from Danish Neolithic. A trepanation is a surgery where the skull is opened, exposing the brain in order to relieve the pressure from a bleeding. Remove splinters of a bone or tumors. Many trepanations were made on the left side of the head, where a battle axe would hit in melee against a right-handed opponent. There are several examples of patients who survived such a surgery, and here is one skull with a hole put right in the top of it here. Here is another skull found in Denmark where they think this surgery took place. That is not a small hole right there for a human to survive that surgery back in the Neolithic period. That's pretty remarkable. Here's another skull that was found, has a small hole in the side here, and I believe this was found in a bog, one of the famous bog bodies that they think were put into here about 3,500 BC. Here's a drawing of a skull found in a stone grave at Keldrod, and it says he has traces after a lesion over the left eye and a not-healed fracture on the skull on the left side from 3,300 BC. There's a drawing right there. Here's a skull found in Heidelberg, over 5,000 years old. Has evidence of dentistry, a drill hole, some work done on the teeth here. That's pretty interesting, coming from that time period. Denmark has a lot of these stone graves. Here is one from overhead. You really wouldn't know really what this is all about until you got inside of it. Let's go take a peek. This is the stone grave at Marhaj, and you see here megalithic stonework inside of this grass-covered stone cairn here. Stone grave. Pretty interesting. Maybe aligned to a solstice right there. The sun coming in. Here's a look at what this mound looks like from ground level, but inside it's very impressive. Huge megalithic stones. Have no clue how much these weigh. That's pretty interesting in there. Here's a look inside the passageway. These are huge stones, probably over 5, 6, 7 tons in here at least. Here's a diagram how they think these stone passageways were built. People would pull large stones, a couple of them, put them in holes in the ground, put a megalith over top of them, then cover them with dirt. So I guess I have no problem with that. Here's a mapping of the Neolithic sites in Denmark, at least an area of it here. They were pretty expansive and widespread here. Here is what they called the Long Barrow Givoge near Sickelborg, and I'm just trying my best with these pronunciations. I've had a little coaching, but just kind of going off the top of my head here. It says here, this is the floor plan for the Dolmen Porkskær Stenhouse drawn by A.P. Madsen in 1900. Burial chamber in here. It says that this is one of thousands of dolmens scattered throughout Denmark. And here is that 5,500-year-old dolmen, megalithic stone circle here, burial chamber at Porkskær Stenhouse on Jerusalem. Here are other diagrams made of these burial chambers, these dolmens found in Denmark, displayed in a lot of different ways here. But some of these could go back almost 8,000 years. Now here is a wooden wheel, and this comes from about 2700 BC, and this was found in Kerning in Denmark. Here is a very interesting flint blade. I guess this blade is less than a centimeter in thickness, but that comes from the Dolk period, about 3,700 years ago. Pretty interesting artifact right there. Here are some pretty thin-made arrowheads, and I think this goes back into the late 2000 BCs when these were produced. I just thought I would make this video tonight. Denmark has a fascinating history like many other countries in Europe. I've talked about many of them in the past half year. Here are some more artifacts found. Ceramics. Looks like some sort of neckwear of some sort. But I will leave this link below if you want to check it out. But here are some more artifacts found. A lot of these look like stuff we find in ancient America, other places. I will leave this link below. Neolithic chewing gum helps recreate image of ancient Dane. Analysis of birch tar describes a female hunter-gatherer with dark skin and blue eyes. And here's a recreated image of what they think she looks like. Here's a piece of chewed birch tar. They got DNA from it. It says the scientists found that they had enough ancient DNA to reconstruct a full human genome. It showed that the person was female, had dark skin, dark hair, and blue eyes. She was also more closely related to hunter-gatherers from mainland Europe than those who lived in central Scandinavia at the time. That comes from a report from about 10 months ago. I will leave the link below, but it's always interesting. We can get a look at what they think a person looked like a long time ago. Here are a couple more ancient dolmens. This one, I believe, is found in Sealand. And here is one found in Jutland, but these are found all over ancient UK, other places in Europe. Here is one final Neolithic site. This is called Klekkende, or however it's pronounced. Here is the opening right down here. This is what this place looks like right here. These Neolithic tomb passages made with megalithic stonework are found all over Denmark. Here's just another one. Here's the bottom of this mound. Has some style to it. Then you have the passageway into these tombs here, probably aligned to special days of the year. I think I will conclude this video now, but that is Neolithic Denmark. A lot of things to show you there in that video. I want to thank a lot of people for sending me some really nice messages. Doing this video just helps me take my mind off of things. That's why I'm doing it. I've been looking into this for a few days now, so this was fresh in my mind. Good thing to do while I have an hour here free. I want to thank a special person in Denmark for just being who she is. If you thought that was interesting, you all have a very nice night.